Did you know that bees like to take naps together? Or that elephants have parties when a baby is born? Adorable, right? I'm Mike with List 25, and today I'm bringing you 25 facts just like these that'll make your day a little bit better. We all know that dolphins are both extremely cute and extremely clever, but I bet you didn't know that every bottlenose dolphin actually has its own name. That's right, every baby bottlenose actually invents its own signature whistle, and that sound becomes their personal ID for life. The best part? Their friends remember it. If two dolphins get separated, one will call out using the other's whistle, like shouting a friend's name across a crowded room. And these names stick. Scientists have found that dolphins can recognize each other's calls even after 20 years apart. Incredible as that is, dolphins aren't the only animals with something to say. Scientists studying prairie dogs have discovered that these little critters don't just warn each other about danger, they discuss it in detail. The best way to describe it would be to say that a prairie dog can call out funny-looking human versus bad-smelling human, or even distinguish a tall person from a short one. So if you walk past their burrows and hear their sounds, there's a chance you've just been burned by a rodent. That must suck. Some animals, though, well, they're just looking for the perfect place to take a nap. After a long day of buzzing around, some bees curl up inside flowers and doze off, sometimes even snuggle up next to a buddy. Male bees, who don't return to a hive at night, often tuck themselves into blossoms, using the soft petals as nature's coziest bed. Early risers have even spotted pairs of bees snoozing together, covered in pollen, waiting for the sun to wake them up. However, when it comes to celebrating, no one does it bigger than elephants. Elephants don't just welcome new babies. When a calf arrives, everyone goes wild, trumpeting, rumbling, and crowding around to gently greet the little one. And it's not just elephants in the wild doing this. Rescued elephants at the Sheldrick Wildlife Trust celebrate exactly the same way. Some have even come back years later, like proud parents, to introduce their babies to the humans who raised them. It's basically their version of a baby shower, a welcome home party, and family reunion all wrapped into one. But when it comes to pure cuteness, sea otters might just take the crown. We all know otters hold hands when they sleep. I mean, have you seen some of those clips? It is just the cutest thing ever. But did you know they also like to carry around their favorite tools? Otters have built-in pockets, loose flaps of skin under their arms, where they like to keep the odd snack and even their favorite rocks or cracking open shellfish. And sometimes they've even been known to swim up to humans and show them off. This particular sea otter was so proud of his rock that he just had to show it off to this fisherman. Honestly, how can you not love these guys? The only thing cuter? A puffin. Atlantic puffins are not only devoted partners, often mating for life, but also meticulous homemakers. When they dig their burrows, these seabirds designate a specific side chamber to function as a restroom or bathroom type space to keep their nesting area clean. The little puffin chicks quickly learn to use this separate space so the nest remains clean and tidy. But puffins aren't the only birds with remarkable distinctions. A king penguin named Sir Nils Olaf III holds a royal rank in the Norwegian King's Guard. It all started in 1972 when visiting Norwegian soldiers adopted a penguin as their official mascot. Every few years since then, the penguin mascot, always named Nils Olaf, has received promotions. And in 2008, the current Nils Olaf was officially knighted by King Harald V of Norway himself. Yes, a penguin was actually knighted by a king, and today, he is a major general. Now tell me, have you ever seen fireflies light up a forest together? Every summer, the Great Smoky Mountains come alive with thousands of fireflies flashing their lights at the exact same time. And I'm not exaggerating. It's literally thousands of fireflies blinking together at the exact same time, like it's a choreographed performance. The males flash first, and the females reply with shorter, delayed flashes. In short, it's basically something akin to flirting in the dark. And if you think synchronized fireflies are impressive, you'll love this next fact. The Milky Way has a lot of stars, around 400 billion to be exact. According to our best and brightest, the Earth has roughly 3 trillion trees, which means we've got about 7.5 trees for every single star in our galaxy. That's incredible, right? Mind blown. Anyway, nature isn't the only thing giving us hope. Let me tell you how the most unlikeliest of pairs can create something truly special together. In Washington state, prison inmates and shelter cats are giving each other second chances. The Monroe Correctional Complex has been partnered with Perfect Pals, a cat sanctuary, since 2006, bringing shy, nearly unadoptable cats together with inmates who foster and care for them. The result? Over 850 cats have been socialized and adopted into loving homes, while the inmates learn responsibility, patience, and compassion. Prison officials even say that the prison environment has improved because of these unlikely friendships. So it's been a 100% win-win for everyone involved. So it just goes to show that humanity can shine through in unexpected ways. Just like this next story. In December 1943, during World War II, an American pilot by the name of Charlie Brown was trying to keep his damaged B-17 bomber in the air after a mission over Germany. Things were already going horribly wrong when German fighter pilot Franz Stigler found them. Ordered to shoot Brown down, Stigler saw the wounded crew through the bomber's shattered hull and made a remarkable choice. Instead of firing, he guided them safely past German anti-aircraft guns, saluted, and flew away. The event was classified as top secret, and it took years before the world learned what transpired in the air that day. Brown and Stigler eventually met face to face and later ended up becoming lifelong friends. Let's do one more human story, shall we? Compassion doesn't always happen one-on-one. Sometimes it connects entire communities. If you're American or Irish, you might know about the amazing friendship between Ireland and the Choctaw Nation, but for the rest of the world, it's probably new information. Back in 1847, Ireland was suffering through the devastating Great Famine. Thousands of miles away, the Choctaw Nation, still recovering from their own tragedy, the Trail of Tears, heard about it and wanted to help. Despite their own poverty, they sent $170 to help. While it wasn't enough to stop the famine, the Irish were deeply moved by the gesture of solidarity, and it inspired a bond that's lasted ever since. Honored today with monuments like Kindred Spirits in Ireland and a similar tribute in Oklahoma. Speaking of global unity leading to positive change, depending on your age, you might remember the days when the hole in the ozone layer was all the rage. Well, here's a happy fact for you. Thanks to the global agreement known as the Montreal Protocol, we've phased out nearly 99% of ozone-depleting chemicals, an action that has set the ozone layer on a path to recovery. If we keep up these efforts, experts predict that the ozone layer could return to its 1980 levels by around 2040 for most of the world, 2045 over the Arctic, and by 2066 over the Antarctic. Up next, another remarkable collaboration you'd never expect. In Laguna, Brazil, wild dolphins and local fishermen have learned to work together to catch fish. For over a century, the dolphins here have been herding schools of mullet towards the shore, then signaling the fishermen with a deep dive or a tail splash at the right moment. The fishermen cast their nets, and while they pull in their catch, the dolphins scoop up the escaping fish. More fish for the fishermen, and an easy meal for the dolphins. Scientists even found that dolphins who do this live longer than those who don't. How amazing is that? Strangely enough, working with nature doesn't just help animals. It might be doing something amazing for our own well-being too. And scientists have found an unexpected reason why. There's actually a natural antidepressant in your everyday garden variety soil. The harmless bacterium, Mycobacterium vaccae, can trigger the brain to release serotonin, the same chemical that helps regulate happiness. So, if you're feeling blue, it might be time to go get your fingers dirty. Moving on. We all know tortoises tend to become some of the longest living animals on land, so let me introduce you to the one who's been around for nearly 2 centuries. Jonathan, a Seychelles giant tortoise, has been roaming the island of St. Helena since the 1880s. At 193 years old, he's the oldest known land animal alive today. Born in 1832, Jonathan has lived through wars, revolutions, and the invention of the telephone, airplanes, and the internet. And despite his age, he is still thriving, spending his days grazing in the gardens of Plantation House, the island's governor's official residence, with his younger tortoise friends and longtime mate Emma. Now, it's off to the woods. Trees might not seem all that talkative, but while we were busy inventing the internet, they were having conversations underground. They've been doing it for ages. Scientists made the discovery in 1997 and confirmed that plants communicate through a massive fungal network, which they like to call, you guessed it, the Wood Wide Web. This fungal system lets them share nutrients, warn each other when there's any sign of danger, and even allows them to sabotage invasive species and other unwanted plants. So, the hippies might have been onto something after all. Now, did you know that sheep won't forget a friendly face? Yep. Studies from the University of Cambridge have discovered that sheep have the ability to recognize and even remember human faces for up to 2 years. And the best part is that they actually show a preference for familiar, friendly people over strangers. So far, we've covered memory, teamwork, and communication. But what about pure determination? Flop, a young Humboldt penguin at Dudley Zoo in the UK, fell seriously ill after hatching in 2024, and in the process lost the ability to stand. But the zoo's keepers got creative and built her a custom baby bouncer to keep her upright. especially during feeding time. After a month of little penguin-sized physiotherapy and exercises on a tiny treadmill, Flop was back on her feet and rejoined the other young penguins. So yeah, people go to great lengths to care for animals, but sometimes that care looks a little different than you'd expect. When summer temperatures spike, the animals at Rio de Janeiro Zoo get treated to their very own versions of ice cream. To keep them cool, zookeepers hand out special frozen treats. The monkeys get icy fruit pops, the jaguars and wolves get frozen and bloody meat snacks, and the giant anteaters get their customized treat with their very own favorite creepy crawlers. And it's gaining momentum. More and more zoos across the world are adopting the tradition, though we might still be a while away from seeing an actual ice cream truck with horse cream rolling up to the lions. Alright, now let's talk about a very unique kind of library. If books can give you the world, imagine what happens to you when you sit down and talk to someone with a completely different view on life. Well, that's the whole idea behind the human library, a global movement where real people become the books you can borrow for a conversation. It started as a one-time event in Denmark in 2000 and can now be found in over 80 countries. Their goal? To bring an end to stereotypes and to challenge the usual misconceptions through genuine conversations. But if deep conversations aren't your thing, how about the ultimate story of loyalty and perseverance? We've all heard incredible stories over the years of lost pets who somehow find their way back home after getting lost, but the record holder must be Bobbie the Wonder Dog. In 1923, Bobbie, a Scotch Collie English Shepherd mix, got lost while the family were on holiday in Indiana. His owners did everything they could to find him, but eventually had to go back home to Oregon without him. And you would think that this is where the story ended. But this is a list about happy facts. 6 months later, Bobbie showed up on their doorstep, exhausted, skinny, and with his paws worn raw. He somehow walked 2,551 miles across America, through forests, rivers, and mountains to make it back to his family. His journey was so incredible that the Oregon Humane Society actually went and retraced his route, confirming that strangers along the way had fed and sheltered him. Homeward bound, anyone? It's a fact that loyalty and determination can change lives, but sometimes quiet innovation does too. In the 60s, Dr. Robert Guthrie developed a simple test that would quietly change the world. His newborn screening test, just a tiny heel prick, allowed doctors to detect metabolic disorders like PKU before they could cause severe disabilities. And yet, despite his groundbreaking discovery, Guthrie never wanted fame. He just wanted to give every child a fighting chance. And he did. His test has saved over 2.5 million lives and counting. Some heroes wear masks, others wear capes. Our next guy wore both. If this story sounds like something straight out of that Jack Black movie Nacho Libre, that's because it pretty much is. Born Sergio Gutierrez Benitez in 1945, he had a rough start and was once almost charged with murder. But he turned his life around, became a priest, and dreamed of building an orphanage. The only problem? Money. So, he came up with a very unique solution. For the next 23 years, he wrestled under the name Fray Tormenta, using his winnings to fund La Casa Hogar de los Cachorros, a children's home that has helped over 2,000 kids, some of whom grew up to become doctors, lawyers, and even wrestlers themselves. Even the smallest acts of kindness can change someone's world. Literally. Have you ever heard of Providence's Goodnight lights? It's the sweetest thing ever. It started in 2010 when Steve Brosnahan, a resident cartoonist at Hasbro Children's Hospital, flashed his bike light at night to say goodnight to the young patients before heading home. Over time, Steve's simple act evolved, and today it's a beautiful nightly tradition that brings the whole city together. At exactly 8:30 p.m., police cars, boats, office buildings, and even construction cranes blink their lights toward the hospital, sending a glowing good night to the kids inside. And the young patients inside can flash their own lights back, creating a citywide moment of love and connection that reminds them they're not alone, making their time away from home just a little bit easier. And that's all I have for you today. Now, it's your turn. Which of these stories made you smile the most? Or do you have your own feel-good fact to share? Drop it in the comments and let's fill this section with some positivity. If you love today's list, you'll definitely want to check out our related video called 25 Interesting Facts to Fuel Your Next Conversation. Trust me, you will never run out of things to say once you're done watching it. Now, go ahead and subscribe. You know you want to. And turn on those notifications so you never miss out on our content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.